Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to talk about the things that I'm not too fond of this car. It's not a lot. Obviously, this car is a beautiful and amazing car, but let's get into it. The first thing I don't like are the brakes. The brakes on this car are absolutely horrendous. I suspect it's because, it's an SR Plus. It's not meant to be a sports car. It's not meant to sort of be taken to a track. And with sort of the one pedal driving that most Tesla owners are aware of, you don't need brakes. I mean, the car, let's say if I let off the gas right now, it'll slow down gradually. I mean, you guys can't really tell. I mean, maybe you can by looking at the speed, but the car slows down, and it's called regenerative braking, where the electric motors basically send power back to the battery. So in a sense, you're charging the battery, you're not wasting a lot of power. You're not, let's say, wasting the power, the rotational energy to heat when you use your brakes to sort of slow down the car. So that's why brakes on Teslas have been said to last 150,000 miles, because you don't need the brakes necessarily if you're driving like a normal person. Now if you're driving like a maniac, that's a whole nother story. But there are times where you might be in a sticky situation and you need to slam on the brakes. Let's say me taking this corner, I kind of want to press the brake to slow down because I couldn't see what was around the turn, and the car just doesn't stop that well. A lot of cars, let's say you just slam on the brakes and the car will stop. This one will keep going, and it could be because obviously of the brakes that Tesla uses on the Standard Range Plus. It could be just because the car is relatively heavy. I mean, if I had to guess, it's probably like 4,000 or 5,000 pounds, which for a sedan of this size is kind of a lot. But again, that's just how electric cars are. And Lucid's car probably weighs close to 7,000 or 8,000 pounds. I know the Rivian truck weighs more than 8,000 pounds. So it's just battery technology and the fact that batteries just weigh a lot. Next thing that bothers me, which isn't Tesla's fault, or maybe it is, but it's basically my visibility through the side mirrors. Ever since I got my windows tinted, which again, they're definitely tinted illegally, it's basically a limo tint. There's the reflection from this white piece on the dash onto the window, and so sometimes especially when light is coming this way, let's say the sun is shining on the dash, it reflects to the side windows, and then it's a bit hard to see when you're trying to change lanes and whatnot. So again, I don't know if I'd blame that on Tesla. I blame that on myself, basically, because I tinted the windows like that. But then again, there's no other car that I've tinted sort of to this magnitude where I've had this problem. So I don't know how Tesla can go about addressing that. It's not the end of the world. I signed up for this, but it's just something about this car that definitely bothers me and other Tesla owners. I don't know if this is my car, but something else that's kind of buggy is when you go over to the charging port, right? You obviously have the option of opening it up through the car, but I'm pretty sure you're allowed to just sort of press it and it's supposed to open, right? But as you can see, it sort of gets stuck, and then I have to sort of help it push it up. And then by that same logic, I can just tap it a little bit, close, and then it closes. But yeah, I don't know if that's with my car, every car, but it's kind of weird. So I know in the previous video I had mentioned how cool the AC controls are, in that you don't have vents. If you look closely, 0 vents. Everything's done through this screen right here, and so you can adjust the vents basically by this. Bring it up or down, side to side, whatever. But it's a slight complaint that I have, in that sometimes I'd like the air to sort of rush to my face, and so I try to adjust this in a way where it'll do that. But I don't know, maybe it's just the location of the vents being a little lower and me sitting a little higher, being that I am 6'5". But sometimes I feel like the air just doesn't reach my face, and it maybe just reaches my body, which is slightly annoying. So one thing, Autopilot is an amazing feature, okay? Don't get me wrong, no other company comes remotely close to what Tesla has to offer with Autopilot. But one thing that's a bit annoying is sort of having to adjust the steering wheel every, I'm not quite sure what the interval is, To be honest, I know there's a camera up here if you guys can see it, but I know Tesla sort of watches over the user, so in that case I guess they thought I wasn't really paying attention, and so here it says apply a slight turning force, which I can do no problem. And you know, it's a safety feature. I understand where they're coming from, but it can get annoying when you're on long road trips and you know you're just trying to sit and relax, and sometimes the interval will be so short where I'll constantly be like touching the steering wheel, and it's like an arm exercise almost, you know. So while I understand it from a safety perspective, it's a bit annoying at times, you know. This camera up here should be more than capable of sort of reading the user and saying, you know, is this user aware? Is this user asleep? So this camera up here, you know, it's some people will cover it for privacy concerns, but I know it's actively watching me, the user, because there'll be times where, let's say I have autopilot engaged, and let's say I pick up my cell phone, right? Blah, 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 blah. I'm texting and driving. I'm not looking at this. Let's see what happens. Ooh. Oh, it thinks right now I'm using my phone, right? I'm using my phone. I'm not paying attention. And this message, it says, apply slight turning force to the steering wheel, except that message wasn't read. So that's a clear indication that it understands that the user isn't sort of super aware. Again, it's a safety feature. It's a very smart move, but it's clear that the camera's actively watching us, and then they should be able to, if they can read that I have my phone in my hand, and they should also be able to read that I'm paying attention, and it shouldn't tell me to touch the steering wheel every 3 seconds. I'm not sure if that's the case for just this, the enhanced autopilot, or if this is for full self-driving as well. But you know, for this being a free feature that just comes with the car, you really can't complain. So basically the autopilot is an amazing feature. I'm just really nitpicking here. I was more expecting this to be a full self-driving type thing where I wouldn't have to touch the steering wheel constantly, but compared to your ICE counterpart, you know, this is amazing. The last thing that kind of annoys me is sort of the seat controls, right? I mean, they work great and all that, but let's say I'm a bigger guy, right? And normally my seating position is in a way where there isn't that much room back there, right? So let's say I'm in a situation where someone's sitting behind me, right? So I'm going to naturally move my seat up. As you can see, my knees are getting pretty close. Still manageable. It's in drive. We're going to put that into park. When we put it into park, the seat starts moving back. I don't know if you guys could see that or hear that, but it's pretty annoying because sometimes there'll be someone behind me, and I'm assuming Tesla has the technology to understand that someone's behind me, and moving the seat back and crushing them isn't sort of the best move. Tesla should figure out how to do this in a way where it understands someone's behind me and it shouldn't just crush the seat into their legs. I hate to say, guys, I'm not trying to be biased towards Tesla, but those are really the only complaints I have with this car. You know, I'll try to sort of find more problems with it in the future, even though that shouldn't be my mindset here. But that's it for this video. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, as usual, leave a comment, give us some sort of feedback. If you guys would like us to do any other videos with this 2021 Model 3 LFP battery pack car,